This is the QBTS one-year overview reading for the year 2025. It's currently March 28, 2025, 12:34 a.m. Eastern Time. QBTS at the time of this reading, $8.06 USD. The shuffle video for the QBTS 2025 reading was created on March 26, 2025 at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So just to clarify for people that are new to the channel, the way that SO meta-analysis works is we have standardized time frames. So I'll do like 1 year increments of time for readings. It's very, very beneficial when you take the whole system into account. And so for that reason, even when we're midway into 2025, I do the full 2025 reading because it's easier to read the information as a whole. But my point being is that the first 3 months, because they've already transpired basically almost the first 3 months, we can then take a look at what the prediction shows on the reading and the chart and cross-reference them. And if we see that the accuracy is good, it's a good indication that the remainder of the reading will be accurate. Usually that's the case. I don't often see it not turn out that way. This is 26 years. The culmination of 26 years of just flipping a card by the hour, flipping a card, looking at the chart, flipping a card, looking at a chart, all different time frames. So now what we're actually going to go over in this video, the overall trend direction for the year of 2025 will give you the if there's any events that help or hinder that trend, we're going to give you information about that as well. We'll give you information about the chart behavior around the year's highest high and the chart behavior around the year's lowest low and how the high and the low form. And we're going to give you the sequence, the day-by-day, or excuse me, the week-by-week sequence of chart events as outlined in this prediction is what you should pay closest attention to. Now, it is week-by-week, so the timing is generally, you'll find the timing is on point. But we do so many readings, occasionally you will find that you need to give a 1 year reading plus or minus 2 or 3 weeks of wiggle room at some points. It's for this reason I'm always telling people it's the sequence of chart events that you should pay closest attention to. And it's also for this reason that I do not recommend you actually trade this information alone. Think of it as entertainment and a proof that extrasensory perception exists and can be used practically in the real world. We've built one of the largest libraries of psychic evidence in the world at this point, guys. Thousands of videos. So, this is just to show you what's up. But if you're actually serious about trading this information, you must have for QBTS, you must have our total access subscription, which you get through our website, Tarot for Traders. I'll show you how to get that at the end of the video. We've got live Discord trade alerts, live trading view charts as part of that subscription. And that's what you need if you want to trade this stuff consistently, successfully, because you can be right and still lose money. There's all sorts of things that can go. It's all about mentality. So the Discord really helps with guiding people on timing since I've been doing it so long. But anyhow, let's get into it here. Oh, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you one of the best trades that I see in the year of 2025. Stay tuned for that, and then after that, I'll show you how to get the subscription. So the overall trend and theme for the year, there's an important resistance level highlighted on a multi-year scale, or at least on a 1 year chart scale. Resistance that we failed to break through many times, and maybe that we failed to break through many times in the past, or maybe that we failed to break through many times throughout the year of 2025 or into the future. Usually it's the past or the period of time. I haven't really seen it do into the future so much. It's crossed with 3 pokes through the same trend line followed by a sharp drop off of the third poke. Again, this is on the scale of a 1 year chart with 1 day candlesticks, and everything in the reading for that matter. You should think of it on that scale unless otherwise specified. Alright, so behavior on the high side, we should see a notable rally on a 1 year chart scale, a notable rally into the high, marking a significant opportunity to close out of long positions and open up short positions. More so when I see the Ace of Wands, it's more often going to be to open up short positions in the beginning of a short trade, but on a scale of a 1 year chart, it might not be the case. We'll look at it in more detail as we progress. Behavior around the chart behavior around the lowest low for the year. Out of a decline, we have a huge move going from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range. That's not necessarily from the bottom to the top of a 1 year range, but it'll be an important range on a 1 year chart scale. And we're going to look at that in more detail as we progress. Now, before I review Well, actually, we don't have anything to review because this is the first QBTS reading that we're doing. But normally, we would review the prior year's reading for accuracy to give you an idea. We can actually go and check out January and February and most of March because it's actually transpired at this point. So that'll give us a good idea of the accuracy. But before we do that and then come back and give you the sequence of chart events, I want to show you, make sure that you're aware the whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. You do that by following through on the rule of karma, which you go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders. 5% of all profits from this information should be donated forward to one of these charities or a charity of your choosing. Just make sure that you're paying it forward, keeping the flow of abundance going through the universe. 5% of the profits should be donated back to the channel to express gratitude and imprint that upon the universe. You are what you are. You get what you are, my friends. So the more grateful you are for that which you have, the more you'll have to be grateful for, if that makes sense. So those two rules, and then the third is that 90% left over. Make sure to spend that out of love, keeping your conscience clear. As long as you follow those rules, you've essentially created the proper state of vibration and mentality to successfully manifest abundance. And you've helped the channel fulfill our goal, which is to transmute that competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. Now imagine if everybody who made money in the stock market did that. How much better the world would be, right? So I'm counting on you guys, those of you with the integrity, to follow through with the honor code. Blessings to all of you out there, my angel investors. Let's get into it. So the overall theme of behavior for the year of 2025, like I said, multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. And so with that said, we have in the first quarter, right here early in like the first 2 weeks of January, we should see a decline to and through support to meet another support. This is likely after a disappointing failed attempt to break through a key resistance, again on the scale of a 1 year chart with multi-days candlesticks. And instead, we turn around and we decline to and through support to meet another support. We attempt to establish support along that second support before breaking down through more supports into a significant opportunity. In January, there's a significant opportunity involved in the January low there. It probably has something to do with the unicursal hexagram, which in this case is most likely indicating a sharp drop taking place in January. Near the January high, we have three crisscrosses through the same trend line. First to the up, then to the downside, then to the upside again. Usually confirms a bullish trend, but based on that unicursal there, I think it's probably not. It's not confirming a bullish trend, and this is likely taking place in the later part of January, being that we have this attempt. The Tower card is an attempt to establish support. Well, not necessarily in the beginning, but in the later part of January, there's an attempt to establish support, and we have a prominent trough on a 1 year chart scale forming after we have that sharp drop. Now, in early February, there's a lot of price change covered with this Princess of Discs. Usually there's an important support level, and at least on the scale of a 1 year chart scale. It could be multi-year scale because of the prominence of the power of the Princess of Discs. But either way, there's a lot of price change into and or out of that support level. It's involved in that. We likely see a resistance level we failed to break through many times before taking place here in February as well. And the February high forms when after a decline, the decline ends, with a big move to the upside, a fast sudden move higher, taking us into the April highs, probably mid-April. And then in the later part of mid-February, not mid-April, mid-February. I've been looking at an April chart all day. Mid-February. So we have this decline that ends with a fast sudden move higher in February, taking us to February highs. And then from those February highs, we likely have a retracement back down into lows that are probably around the same price level as the lows from around January, February. There's an important support level highlighted in early March. Usually the Emperor card is important on a scale greater than the time frame of the reading. So in this case, the Emperor card is probably a support level that's important on a multi-year scale. Either way, it usually can be relied upon as sound foundation. There's a lot of volatility near the March low. And looks like probably a pop to the upside mid-March out of a trough. And the later part of March, we have a big move higher, pushing the upper end of a range higher. There's a failed attempt to break through key resistance, followed by a decline through key support. And again, this is resistance that we expect to break through, and disappointingly, we don't. We turn around and we decline back down. And that's that March high is likely, based on the yellow correlation, is likely likely the first poke through the trend line, where we have 3 pokes through the same trend line followed by a sharp drop off of the third poke. This resistance here in March is likely that first poke through the trend line. And before we go any further, let's take a look at how the 2025 chart holds up to that. Something that I forgot to mention about the sequence of chart events, you must understand it's a sequence of chart events that we're predicting. It's week by week chart behavior. The timing is usually on point, but you must understand it's a sequence of chart events. Sometimes you're going to need to give points in that sequence of chart events. Sometimes you'll need to give them plus or minus 2 weeks of wiggle room. The sequence will remain accurate nonetheless. So I believe I mentioned this, but I just want to make sure you're aware, guys, and burn that into your minds. All right, so we've got a QBTS chart. This is pre-total access markup. I'm going to do that right after I finish this public recording. I'm going to get into the markups for this chart and add that to the total access subscription. But we have January here, and lo and behold, right? We had this failed attempt to break through resistance, followed by a decline through key support and a sharp unicursal hexagram drop. The low is like a significant opportunity. It was like a gap down. We're down there just a moment. That's the full card. And then we popped right back. Significant opportunity at that low. And 3 crisscrosses through the same trend line at the high as well. The upside to the downside to the upside. 3 crisscrosses through the same. So that January is on point. Okay, and so in February, early February, we've got this sideways rotational on key support. I'll mark that off. This is how you utilize price levels with SOMeta. SOMeta was designed for a sequence of chart events, sequence of behavior, and timing. It wasn't really designed for price levels, since technical analysis is all about price levels. This is kind of like the opposite of technical analysis, the missing component. But either way, when I mark up price levels that I can identify, like the Princess of Discs is a support level. It helps later on that we may come back to that. There may be some sort of indications with later psychic work that allows me to then deduce that this Princess of Discs price level is what we're, being inferred to. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm probably not explaining that too well. Early February. Right, so Princess of Discs is from early February. The early February card, Princess of Discs. Right, so this price level here. Hopefully, this is making more sense to people. This is how you can start to effectively use price levels. It's not a short thing, but further out in the future, this may end up being a price level that's referred back to in some way, and you'll see what I mean if it happens. In any case, so in March, before we get into March, so in the later part of February, we have this pop higher and this drop back down. This is all pretty solid, and the low forms after a rally turns over and into a decline. Yeah, this is really solid. Okay, so we have the support level. I'm going to go ahead and mark this off as the Emperor card. This is likely important, or will be important, on a multi-year basis moving forward, and we do have a multi-year chart, so this could be very helpful. I'll mark that off. So in the future, that'll likely come in handy, and I'll point it out when that does come to fruition. But either way, there's a support you can rely upon. It takes us up into, where do we go? Our first poke through resistance level. A lot of volatility near the low. Sort of flatten out there. near the high, unless it is that we go a little higher. That might be the case, but doubtful. I think probably what we're seeing is this is also, right, I said failed attempt to break through key resistance that we would expect to break through based on the chart behavior prior to it, right? So this resistance failed attempt, we poke through it just momentarily, and then we break back down through it and break through key resistance, meaning we're likely going to break through key support on the way down, and we're likely going to do that right here, around where we are now. Overall, this is a really solid reading thus far. And my sense is that the remainder of this reading is going to be really, really accurate. And you can get the full prediction with the timing of the highest highs and the lowest lows and all that stuff as part of the Total Access subscription. I'll show you guys how to get it at the end of the video. That chart right there, there's a chart link for it that's in the Discord. So whenever I update this, people with Total Access will get an alert telling them that I've updated the drawings, as well as when there's trade alerts and stuff like that. Alright, so everything on the scale of a one-year chart with one-day candlesticks unless otherwise specified. So we have this big move to the upside in March into a failed attempt to break through key resistance, and then a decline back down to a trough probably in, it looks like, early April. There's a lot of price swingy stuff going on here around early April and late March, I'm feeling, in a lot of these 1 years. But either way, we do sideways rotation in early April, revisiting a support level that we recently met as a past opportunity. There's a sharp drop that'll stand out within that period of sideways rotation in early April. And then likely we've got some sort of move to the upside in the later part. Let me see what the cards say. In the later part of April, because there's a prominent peak on a one-year chart scale there, as long, prominent troughs and prominent peaks in April. And we've also come up in later April, we come up against that resistance that we failed to break through many times before. Most likely see it in the later part of April there. Prominent peak, like I said, in later part of April, and the April low will form with a brief peak that's easily missed, followed by a decline through multiple support levels. We do sideways rotation in May. A lot of price change in the later part of April. Yeah, it looks like there's a rally that turns over there. A lot of price change, creating a prominent peak. And we decline into early May, where there's sideways rotational on key support. Might even be some decline before that sideways rotation. We successfully find support in May, it looks like. And then a big move. Yeah, there's some declining into the low, the May low, and we successfully find support there. A lot of price change around that sideways rotation at the low when we successfully find support, and then price swings in the later part of May. The May high forms with an unexpected move to the upside. Usually that means that there's a lot of negative headwinds and it goes higher anyways, or it could be some sort of really scary technical chart behavior that leads us to believe that we're going to go lower, but instead we go higher into the high for May. Sharp drop after some price swinging in late May. There's a sharp drop into a prominent trough in June. Erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level in around the June low. A prominent trough in the later part of June. It's either a notable reversal on a one-year chart scale or a notable reversal, like multiple reversals on a 1 month scale in the later part of June. One of those two, or could be both, really. And a bearish price swings near the June high. So pretty wild. It looks like a pretty wild June. I would be careful in June. Pretty wild stuff going on there. In early July, we have a rally increasing with momentum moving forward in time into a prominent peak on a one-year chart scale. We probably see the July high twice. either it may not necessarily be both in July. If it's not, it'll be like on either side of July and then one on July. So revisiting there, but it's a sideways S formation within a channel. So resistance is met, we decline to support, reverse, go all the way back to resistance, reverse, go all the way back to support, creating a sideways S formation. Usually there's 2 highs and 2 lows in that formation. In the later part of July, we have a crest that we sell off from down to and through support, and then we do a U-shaped reversal below that price level, break out to the upside through it, and then reestablish it as support. So usually it's something like that, like this, like that. A lot of price change into and or out of the July low, and the July low will revisit a support level that we recently met as a past opportunity. There will also be a resistance level important on a 1-year chart scale minimum that we decline from there near the July low and probably into the July low, and then we return back to that resistance within close time proximity to the July low. Usually some good trading around that, so maybe we'll have something there when I look at the total access charts and drawings in the not too distant future. Early August, we've got a crest, a near overbought crest that we sell off from through multiple support levels. Big move to the upside in around out of the August low. And there's also a prominent peak on a 1-year chart scale within close time proximity to the August low. Multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance at the August high. That's probably the same resistance. It could be the same resistance. It'll be a lot easier to determine when we get closer based on what's transpired the first half of the year. But this could be the same resistance from back in February, maybe in April. We'll see. Either way, a big move to the upside, reaching for distant resistance in the later part of August. That turns into, we meet resistance again, big move to the downside through multiple supports into sideways rotation and probably a prominent trough there. There's a prominent peak on a 1-year chart scale within close time proximity to the September low. The September high is a significant peak on a 1-year chart scale, probably mid-month. And in the later part of September, we should rally into key resistance and then abruptly turn around and decline back down past the point at which the rally into the resistance met. So we'll likely do that all in the later part of March. Another prominent peak in the early October at key resistance. We break down from that resistance and then return to it in the not too distant future, probably on the cusp of October, November. If I had to, my sense is saying that's most likely where it is. A big move to the upside, one of the biggest moves of the year to the upside into the October high, might even be like a gap up. Excuse me. It's likely where we will see the third poke through that trend line. We have the second poke here in the end of September, and the third poke here at the October high. So there's likely to be a sharp drop coming up from here. Interesting. Okay, it's not quite because that second resistance or that third poke through the resistance is probably here on the cusp of October, November. There's an unexpected move to the upside in the later part of October out of a prominent trough, and we likely see the October low twice. A big move to the upside, full retracement of that move back down. We might even rally into a key resistance level we failed to break through many times before out of the low before breaking back down with full retracement. Out of a prominent trough in early November, fast sudden move higher, taking us into a peak. The November high forms with a pop and then a drop. In the later part of November, we have a rally into key resistance important on a 1-year chart scale, and we decline from that resistance with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. Prominent peak within close time proximity to the November low, and it's a sideways fluctuating rally preceding a decline that's involved in the November low there. In early December, resistance that we failed to break through many times before is highlighted again. Should be a sharp decline there. Yeah, sharp decline through multiple supports off of the November high, and it probably continues into December with that period of volatility. That period of volatility does end with a fast sudden move higher. A lot of price change involved into and or out of an important support level on a one-year chart scale in early December as well. The December low is likely to be an intentional fake out or shakeout of some kind. So likely they're going to try and make it look like we're going to go lower and shake longs out or something along those lines. Just be very, very careful near the December lows because it's intentional market maker manipulation, basically. The December high is an overbought crest that we sell off from through multiple supports. Prominent peak in the later part of December on a one-year chart scale where we break through key resistance, we stay above it briefly, break back down through it shortly thereafter with a full retracement. Sneak preview for 2026. Usually the prudence card is some sort of sideways rotation, but with it's hard to determine direction. It's like we're trying to find direction, and so there's lots of fake outs, multiple false tops, multiple false bottoms, stuff like that. That's just really tricky stuff that can make you do the wrong thing. So be very, very careful about 2026. There's also an important peak in there on a one-year chart scale minimum, or I should say on a multi-year scale. There's an important peak in there most likely. Now I'm going to give you one of the best trades that I see, but remember guys, without the Discord trade alerts, I do not recommend trading this information. With the Discord trade alerts, I'm there to help you. You can ask me in Discord any moment and get back to you real fast. Ask me any questions, and I actually draw entry and exits and all sorts of helpful information, in some cases all the way out as far as a year, as part of the Total Access subscription. Not to mention you'll get the timing of the highest high and the lowest low to the week for QBTS in 2025, and all the trades that we expect to see. And that's what they are, guys. They're expectations of trades, but plus or minus 2 or 3 weeks of wiggle room in some cases makes that Discord essential. So as far as the best trades, guys, so here in April, we're going to be revisiting with some sideways rotation. We're going to be revisiting a support level on a one-year chart scale of importance minimum, and it's a support that we recently met as a past opportunity. So there'll be a sharp drop within that period of sideways rotation, and in that sharp drop is likely where we revisit. I would buy in. I would open up a long position there, and I open up like a partial if we're like near lowest lows for thus far for the year in April. And if we see them a little bit later, like mid-April or just the beginning of the later part of April, you could add to the long position. My sense is that we have a pretty big move. Yeah, there's a pretty big move into resistance that we failed to break through many times before at a prominent peak on a one-year chart scale, probably towards the later part of April. But when we hit that resistance we failed to break through on a one-year chart scale many times before, that's where I would exit the long. All right, guys, let me show you how to get that. So look, here will basically, there's nothing here because I'm going to drop it right after I stop recording the public. I'm going to do all this work for Discord, and people will be able to ask questions, but we'll post all the videos here of predictions and trade alerts and real-time stuff. But most importantly, the TradingView chart link will be there. It gets changed regularly, but you'll always be able to click on the most up-to-date version of the link as part of Total Access on the Discord. Things like these price levels will be drawn in, entries and exits and all sorts of stuff like that will be drawn in, and we'll very likely look at the multi-year as well. So the way that you get the Total Access subscription, you go to our website, Tarot for Traders, hover over Order Now, click on Subscription. It's our premium subscription, so it gets you the earliest access to any of our public posts that anybody can get as part of the Discord. This channel right here gets you access. All of our public posts come out here first, well before they come out on YouTube. And then live stream questions. You can drop questions here at any time of the week. Our next available live stream, these questions get answered. You get day trade alerts and swing trade alerts and chart drawings for SPY. And then you get all of these monthly predictions with day-by-day sequence of chart events and chat channels to ask questions, chart drawings, Discord trade alerts for all of these guys. And then on a 1 year chart scale, but with week by week or chart behavior, you get access to all of these channels, guys. So, I mean, it's powerful stuff. Currently, this is $500 a month. I would act fast if you're planning on getting this, guys, because all of our prices are going to be going up post-retrograde. Monthly access is currently $300. It's most likely going to become $400. Early access is currently $100. It's most likely going to become $200. Those prices might even change when retrograde changes. I might have different ideas, but that's what we're planning, guys. So if you get it at these lower price levels, you'll have that price for the lifetime of the subscription. All right, blessings to all my angel investors. You know where to go. You know what to do. I will see you guys on the next one.